Well, we've compiled lists. We've talked about this a lot. There was a mention. I'm not. It probably didn't come from Relativity Media, but there was a suggestion. I think it was Russell Crowe, who we all thought would be ideal for Uncle Tam. He's got the sort of physical presence here. Brilliant.
Christopher Walken, because Christopher Walken is got that fantastic evil bent. You know, he's got that. I do adore him, and like he would be perfect for this Styx character called the Crawfly.
And the English actor Ray Fiennes.
Ray Fiennes would be brilliant for Dr. Burroughs. And see him with his tweed coat with the leather elbow pads.
And Will himself.
For Will, see, that's the problem with people ask us about if you've got ideas for Will. And the problem with that would be we might like someone, but then if the thing does not go into production for 2 or 3 years, then, you know, that young boy could be, you know, so changed in those 2 years. So we never have, that's always very fluid for the younger characters. But we do get, you know, ideas for the older, more, you know, the adult characters.
My son George, who's 11 now, would like to
He'd love to play, and you think he'd be very good?
He's asking me.
Yeah, I think he'd be good.
Can't give him any guarantees.
And I think his son Frank would like to direct.
He would,
yeah.
In early 2003, we wrote a screenplay. It took us 2 or 3 months, really, for a film. And it was just so painless, and we enjoyed it so much. It was a very quick process. And we didn't really do anything with it in the end. And then the suggestion came, I found my wife suggested, what about a book for younger readers, a children's book? And
we haven't even considered that.
We didn't really take it seriously. But it led in, what we wanted to do was write a book and self-publish it. So we could control it. We'd heard all about sort of friends and for a long time. Other people who tried to write, and your manuscript ends up in just a slush pile. The publishers and never gets seen. So we thought maybe if we could control the whole process, do it ourselves.
That's why we thought film scripts. But you see, we met at university in the early years. You know, when we were the 2 people who were like a pain to be with in the bar, because when we'd talk an idea, and we'd go, that'd be a great idea for a film, or that's a great idea. And people would go, oh, he's 2 talking about books and films. So we always had this thing where we bounced ideas off each other, but it actually wasn't until, you know, that when Rod actually had that time free suddenly, so actually it just gelled that way. Because we'd gone very much in our own separate paths after university. But we always kept in touch.
We start off usually in the early hours of the morning, around the kitchen table, just writing down loads and loads of ideas, bouncing ideas off each other, making a lot of noise, and my wife often shouts down, can you be quiet, please, wake the kids up. But you end up, the whole
pile, get very animated,
whole pile of paper. Then I go and do the first version, whether it's a section of the book, chapter, or maybe even a few pages, go and put it into the machine, run it through the word processor. It's very rough. That's printed out. Brian will take that away.
Yeah, and I work in longhand. I always work with pen.
He hates looking at the screen.
I hate looking at screens and working. It just doesn't work for me. So I produce then more reams of paper for Rod covered in hieroglyphic writing, and which I'm astounded he can actually decipher.
I'm quite good at reading his writing. Then that goes back in. I do sort of mix and merge with the original. That goes back into the word processor, and again another version is produced. And we keep on going from. So it goes really from being on the computer to being printed out, Brian working on longhand, so it sort of comes into the real world and then back again. That can happen many, many times. And I think it's interesting because you look at it afresh each time, every single sentence, every single word's considered, evaluated to make sure we're getting across what we want to.
And because of that process as well, what invariably happens is that you don't get 2 separate voices, because we're often asked that thing about, you know, how does that work?
Do
one write a chapter each? And you can't do that. You really can't, because it's so clunky. And it's that through this sort of process, the whole thing becomes this sort of like a mesh, if you like. It evolves, and then and therefore it becomes like we've said. You know, it's that, you know, whenever 2 minds are in sort of collaboration, a 3rd mind exists, and that the book has very much a voice of its own. So it is that sort of constant back and forth.
And yes, we do, from time to time, there is conflict. We do have quite outrageous arguments, and it's about the silliest thing, the position
very
of a
serious
comma.
Things.
Semicolons. There was one situation where I think it was the effect of fog on sound, whether it was...
oh, God.
Whether it rebounded by the fog, it's the scene in
echoed
Eternal
back,
City.
or was it amplified? And that was the argument.
About 5 hours of arguments. Brian doing
But it went on for days, though, didn't it?
little pictures of sound bouncing.
I was
off
actually drawing
fog
diagrams,
clouds,
physics. You can't bounce that. And then we even phoned friends up who did physics at university, and they thought we were insane. We called them at 2 o'clock in the morning.
We were insane. I think it got so savage we didn't talk for a couple of days after that.
I went off in a huff.
But that doesn't happen very often.
No.
But it's a. I think it's the other thing. One of us will write a version and we think that's brilliant and it can't be changed, and the other will lay into it very often.
Yeah.
And it does push it up to a different level.
Or even sometimes it can just be one. What about that? Just a different angle on. You go and and then it'll turn the whole thing over. So and because of that, we've always said we've been asked, do you ever get writer's block or anything like that? I think the advantage of working in a team like that is that if one of you does sort of feel there's sort of like nothing's coming there, the other person just starts throwing ideas in, then your mind starts ticking over on those and you're away again. So it's very good for that.
And I thought when we set out, it would probably take half the time with 2 of us working.
Yeah.
That's not the case at all.
Probably twice as long.
Twice as long, at least, I should think.
Yeah.